Okay, now what happens if you have multiple files in a folder like I do? So these are, well, they are the Airbnb listings for the different cities in Australia. So Barossa, Barwon, Melbourne, Sydney, Tasmania, and so on. And they're all sitting in this folder, Australia. Now, what happens if I want to read all of these in at the same time? And I can do that. So again, import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP. I mount my drive. I provide a location to the path. So remember, this is the location to the path. I have not provided the location to the individual CSVs, just the folder that contains them. Then we import glob and OS, because glob is what is going to let us read in multiple CSV files. I create a variable files, glob.glob. I put in this path as it is, slash asterisk star.csv, which means all the files with the extension .csv, which is all of these files, is going to be read in. And as you can see, these have been read in. So we have the Barossa listings CSV, the Barrow listing CSV, Melbourne listing CSV. Now we have to combine these multiple CSVs into one data frame. I create a variable df, pd.concatenate. I call the function concat. pd.read CSV fp dot assign new. Now I create a variable new OS. Now this is going to let me access the path, OS path dot base name, yeah, just be careful about the different brackets, fp for fp in file. So basically fp is my iterator. For fp in file, all the files in the folder, the individual files have been stored in the variable. For fp in files, so fp is going to iterate, and then pd.concatenate is going to concatenate all the files that it finds at this particular location, well, rather this particular location. And when you print it, you get something like id, and you get a column by the name new. So the new becomes my column, because essentially what I want to do is, well, you just have the Barossa listings over here. And when I concatenate multiple files together, what I want to do, so I just have this column license, but when I concatenate this with other CSVs, and I would like another column. In this case, I called it new, which tells me that these data, they have come from Barossa and so on. So that will help me with my future processing. So let's just see, what do I have? df.head. So you can see ID, name, license, which is a blank column, we can delete it. And then I have a new column by this name new, which has Barossa_listings.csv. So I am going to have, and if I look at df.tail, let's see, I'm going to have Westernust whatever .csv. So basically I know which listing comes from which part of Australia, but there's just one little data entry job that I would like to do, which is to remove this CSV. I mean, it's not causing me any difficulties because this is a string like any other string, but actually I'm keen to get rid of this .csv. It's not compulsory, it's strictly optional, but let's just try to get rid of the CSV. The .csv which has been appended here in the new column. And in order to do that, I create a variable df2, again pd.concat square brackets pd.read CSV underscore CSV. Again, I mentioned the iterator fp dot assign. Again, I decide on a column name. Actually, I can call it, well, let's just call it new os dot path dot base name. So so far it's the same, well, more or less the same, fp dot split. So now I'm going to carry out the splitting based on the dot, because remember, in the new column I had strings such as Barossa listings .csv, Melbourne listings .csv. So split, it becomes my basis of splitting that string. So dot split is something we use commonly for splitting strings. And I mean, if I want to split on the basis of the underscore, then yes, I can use the underscore. That's not an issue. Dot. And at this point, I'm going to specify 0, which means it's going to get me the first part of the split string. It'll discard the dots. It'll discard the CSV, which comes after the dot, and I'll get Barossa underscore listings. I mean, if I take the underscore, then I'll just get Barossa, but that's something you can try on your own. So, and now I'm going to say, for fp in files, and let's see, df2 dot head and now you can see I've got Barossa underscore listings. I don't have any CSVs. So basically this is how I can read in multiple data files from the same folder and even clean it up to have a new folder which tells me, which Airbnb flat or location comes from which province or part of Australia.